Things have been really bad for Call of Duty lately, for a few reasons. I'm more concerned about cheating and players not getting caught for months on end. This has also been a problem for Blizzard and players cheating in Overwatch.
We haven't even seen them aimbot, we haven't seen them go for ridiculous shots, but look at them. Oh yeah, they're already doing that too.
And while we have blatantly obvious replays, it can seem like nothing is being done to make this better. While I do agree these teams have been incredibly slow at getting the job done, I still have to acknowledge that their anti-cheat teams still exist to some extent. Now, whether they have all the tools required to prevent cheating on a large scale, or if their budget is a daily allowance of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I have no clue. But from where I'm standing, I do feel their capabilities are closer to the latter. While we continue to wait and see if anyone other than Riot Games is going to be more productive with their anti-cheat measures, it's getting to the point where we should be expecting Microsoft to lend a helping hand. After all, Activision and Blizzard are now owned by Xbox, and it really does make your company look bad when people are able to cheat at will with any variety of cheats and are simply not getting caught. I know there are potentially other ways to create a better anti-cheat. I've covered that in my previous video about this subject. You can check that one out after this video. However, with Riot Games, I can understand some people not wanting an invasive kernel-level anti-cheat like Vanguard. Here's where I have zero problem with this though, and that is if Microsoft creates their own anti-cheat and packages it with Windows. The hopes for having a Windows anti-cheat would be to have far less ways for a cheat program to bypass detection from the game, much less the entire operating system. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure this might not be a perfect solution, but I'm willing to bet it would be better than most if not any other anti-cheat systems that are currently being used. And maybe Microsoft can even partner up with other publishers and developers to help prevent cheating across many other games. The funny thing about this would also be what they could name it. They could name it Microsoft Anti-Cheat, or MAC for short. Or they could name it Xbox Anti-Cheat, XAC, and pronounce it as Zach. You could even have a mascot of a kid wearing a ball cap backwards. I don't know, it seems like the marketing writes itself. And with any sort of possible solution, people are more than willing to say that they still would not want this to happen. And that seems to be double the case whenever it comes to any kind of anti-cheat solution. Which makes me wonder what they're so worried about when the anti-cheat is literally powered by the operating system you are putting your trust in and using every single day, as well as the built-in antivirus program Windows Defender that scans your files, which is something anti-cheat programs do anyways. One potential problem that I would be somewhat concerned about is the overall performance of the operating system and making sure that this anti-cheat doesn't bog down the system and use additional resources. That said, I'm not really worried that this will happen or be a common issue, since they already have Microsoft Defender, which is not known for impacting performance. So, if Defender doesn't impact PC performance, I'm confident they could do the same thing with their own anti-cheat. Another potential problem would be cheaters going into the registry and simply toggling off the anti-cheat program. While that can probably happen, Microsoft can combat this by first, not making it blindingly obvious where the anti-cheat files are and what registry values would have to be adjusted. And secondly, if they include those registry files in some more precarious locations, where if someone edits the wrong value, it could potentially cause issues with Windows due to the user's own stupidity. And hey, if you're willing to manually edit registry values to cheat in video games and accidentally break your PC, I don't care what your job is, you deserve it. Again, I'm sure there are other potential issues that Microsoft would have to worry about to make sure everything runs properly, but I can't help but feel that the upsides to having the operating system scan for cheat programs alongside the game's own anti-cheat, it's at least one extra door that the cheaters would have to get through. Unlike where it is now, where they can download and install the cheat, or have a USB that contains cheats, and not have to worry about ever getting caught. While there are some cheat programs that people do use for single-player games, or for other games that Microsoft isn't really worried about, it may be a case-by-case basis. Of course, Microsoft can't really ban you from a game they don't own, and using cheats in single-player games may even be necessary for older games to work. Now for the dum-dums that think I'm expecting cheaters to be banned from Windows, that's not what I'm asking for. Again, if you modify core Windows files, that's your decision. It's your own fault if you break your own PC. But in terms of what Windows would be doing, is simply detecting cheats being active while running an online game owned by Microsoft. Be it Call of Duty, Overwatch, Halo, or any other variety of games in their library that would want to be protected with the system. I really do hate the thought process people have on the internet, where it's an all or nothing solution, like saying you should only play Call of Duty on consoles, or if your cheats get detected by Windows, regardless what the game was for, you're banned from everything. I don't expect or want that to happen. The point of this solution would be to prevent mass cheating in online games and nothing more. And I know there are some cheat programs or additional programs that would be necessary for single-player games, as well as no longer supported online games in order to run fan-based servers like the original Star Wars Battlefront 2. Now let's say for whatever reason, Microsoft is not going to bother to create an anti-cheat of their own. Well, as much as I'm against that, that's fine. Since these development studios such as Activision Blizzard are still having a hacking epidemic, we can only hope that Xbox is willing to chime in and provide some additional tools or funding, or just something that can help make the current systems like the Ricochet anti-cheat far more effective than they are now. Whether that means allowing Ricochet or other anti-cheat systems to be more invasive, or doing what I had suggested in my other video about preventing cheating in online games, where players are banned based on their in-game behavior, such as aim lock and other clearly visible cheats. I know Xbox and Phil Spencer are known for having a hands-off approach. To some extent, I'm glad they do this to try to keep the pressure off the development teams. However, it's also not always the right decision, like allowing Redfall to be released when the game was in a buggy and broken state. And as far as I know, it still is. When it comes to anti-cheat measures, it makes a lot of sense to me to have Xbox and Microsoft step in and provide additional resources and help add extra barriers to prevent cheating. Maybe there are other things they can do to prevent cheating without having to create their own anti-cheat. And the more discreet Windows and Xbox is about it, the better. Which sadly means if they are even working on a solution, we would never really know until after the fact. As much as I would love to have a silver bullet that guarantees hacking in online games would be completely impossible on PC, or at the very least Windows-owned titles, there's always that chance it could happen. As always, it's not really a matter of making it impossible, but to keep adding step after step after step to make it difficult to avoid being banned, to being forced to refresh or spoof hardware, to rebuild the operating system or the entire PC, to get back into hacking online games. The more hoops people have to jump through to get back into cheating again, the better. And in my opinion, waiting 3 months or longer for a ban wave is just archaic, and simply isn't the answer anymore for these competitive games. These cheat services will extend user subscriptions free of charge whenever their cheats get detected, and sometimes they may offer other perks to prevent their customers from requesting refunds. If developers and security teams think that waiting a few months before banning and hoping these people will cause chaos to these cheating companies, well, it doesn't seem like that's happening anymore. I think it would cause far more chaos if cheaters are constantly being detected and banned as soon as possible. But who knows? I'm just tired of running into cheaters, and with the matchmaking in COD being the way it is, it makes me not want to jump into online games as often. I really hate having to look at each gunfight and have to figure out whether it's aim assist or cheating, or if the teams are just stacked against me, and there's just no fun having to second guess everything that's going on. And who knows? Maybe these teams are working on better and more active solutions, and we just have to sit and wait for a few months. This is always a problem with any anti-cheat system though, where they can't really say much about what they're doing, because then the people who make these cheats would try to get ahead of the game. And meanwhile, we just have to sit around in radio silence, hoping the security and development teams know what they're doing and can provide a more proactive solution. Well, I'm very fatigued having to see it happen in front of me every single day, be it in-game, or on Twitter, or on YouTube. If you've gotten this far, please give this video a like, and consider subscribing as we make our climb to 1,000 subscribers. Until Microsoft, or someone else, throws their hat in the ring, and actually has a working and effective anti-cheat, I am Mr. Rain, and I'll see you next time.